My name is Ben Chung, and this is a play guide video to Gears of Industry, the personalized card game. A personalized deck. The concept of a personalized card game is captured in these four ideas. The personalized tailored deck. Each player brings a personalized, tailored, custom-built tech deck to the game. Before the game starts, each player selects 26 cards chosen from up to 2 tech decks, customizing your play experience. Each game is unique because each player brings a unique deck to the game. This creates a highly replayable game with a unique game experience with each game played. Gaming that transcends the game. You can design your deck between games so the game experience transcends the actual game, allowing you to enjoy the game experience outside of gameplay. It's not collectible and affordable. The tech deck personalized card game brings the benefits of customizability and the legacy effect without the cost. Game setup and objective. The objective of the game is that players are trying to form poker hands in each of 2 markets, using cards they play to the markets and using 2 neutral cards that start in each market. On their turn, players can play cards to the markets. When the active player has 3 cards in a market, that player can trigger a market clash. Winning players score based on the hands formed. And the first player to score 7 points wins the game. The personalized deck. Each player prepares a 26-card personalized deck using cards from a tech deck in the basic game or 2 deck decks in the advanced game. The player selects 26 cards they would like to use for their deck from a pool of 2 tech decks. Expel all wild cards. Card sleeves are recommended to differentiate the cards owned by a player. Here we see the Gears of Industry setup, where each player prepares a personalized deck. You determine a first player. You search your deck for 3 technology cards, and then you create a market deck and discard. You set up 2 markets by drawing 2 cards into each market, and then they shuffle their personalized deck, and each player draws 4 cards. So you determine a first player, you randomly determine a first player, and if you're playing with 4 players, you form 2 teams of 2 players each. You form the market deck and discard, take the tech deck cards not being used by the players, remove the technology cards, and then in the basic game, randomly take 30 cards to form a market deck. In the advanced game, each player contributes 15 cards towards a common market deck that is shuffled together. Then you set up 2 markets. There are 2 markets in the play area shared by players. You can use a mat or a piece of paper to show the 2 markets. The markets each start with 2 cards drawn from the market deck. And then each player starts with 3 technology cards. They search their personalized deck for 3 technology cards of value 5 or less and adds it to their hand. Technology cards in this game are called factory cards. Deck and discard. Each player shuffles the remaining cards of their personalized deck and places it in the player area. The personalized discard pile is next to it. Game effects played from their deck that refer to deck and discard relate to their personalized deck and discard. Deal cards to the players. Each player draws 4 cards from their personalized deck. Gameplay. There are 4 basic gameplay concepts: factory cards, entering the market, using card effects, and a market clash. Gameplay flow. On a player's turn, they perform the following sequence of steps. They draw a card from their personalized deck. Then they can play a factory card. You can play 1 technology domain card to their factory area in any orientation, and these are called factory cards. Entering the market. You can play up to 2 non-technology cards into 1 or both of the 2 markets. Play market cards that sum equal to or less than the active player's factory output. More details on this later. Use a card effect. You can use a game effect on a market card of the active player or a neutral market card. A market clash. Whenever the active player has 3 cards in a market, that player may trigger a market clash. All players form the best poker hands with the cards they have in that market. Again, more on this later. Discard down to 7. The active player then discards down to 7 cards in hand, and play passes to the next player. Factory cards. The concept of factory cards is that they produce effects based on their orientation. So vertically oriented factory cards can boost a market, a poker hand, in a market clash. Horizontal facing factory cards, left or right, each produce 3 factory output. Alternatively, They can be used to play a market card of that factory card's value. A factory card may not be used both as a market boost and to pay for a market card in the same turn, though it may be rotated more than once in a turn. So we see here an example where a 12 of technology card is in the horizontal position facing left, and it can be used to play and pay for a 12 value science, service, or knowledge card. Markets and card effects. So entering a market is shown here. You play up to 2 cards in one or both of 2 markets. Only non-technology cards can enter a market. You play market cards that sum equal to or less than your factory output. Alternatively, a factory card can be used to play a market card matching the value of the factory card. A factory card used in this way does not generate factory points. For example, a 12 technology card can be used to play any 12 value card. Any factory cards used to pay for market cards must be rotated clockwise 90 degrees. Other horizontal factory cards may be rotated clockwise 90 degrees. You can overwrite a card if you already have 3 cards in the market. So we see here an example where player 1 wishes to play the 10 of science card, and he pays for it by the 10 of technology card, which in this turn would make no factory points, but pays for the 10 of science card. Then after that, player 1 must rotate that 10 of technology card because he used it to pay for playing the 10 of science into market 2. Now he has 3 10s, and he creates a 3 of a kind in market 2. And player 1 also then uses the 3 factory points from the 7 of technology and the 11 of technology cards to pay for the 6 of service, which he plays into market 1. And by doing so, he then creates 2 pairs, a pair of 6s and a pair of 2s in market 1. Using a card effect. To use a game effect on one market card of the active player or a neutral market card. Effects such as draw, discard, replace, or search from a player's market card refers to the active player's personalized deck. Likewise, game effects from a neutral market card refer to the market deck. The deck running out of cards. If the deck runs out of cards or a player needs to reveal more cards than are in the deck, resolve as much as possible. Then shuffle the discard into the deck and perform the rest of the effect. If there are still not enough cards in the deck to reveal the requested number of cards, reveal as much as possible. Corner cases. If a game effect has multiple effects, but any of them are unresolvable, do as much as possible. Each market has 2 neutral cards. Player market cards and factory cards are all controlled and in play. Game effects last until the end of the turn if not specified on the card. It is possible that a game card effect will be used again because of a copy effect. Whenever an effect causes all players to do something, the active player starts first, then the effect passes to the next players. Market clash. A market clash is resolved as follows. Whenever the active player has 3 cards in a market, that player may trigger a market clash. All players form the best poker hands with the cards they have in that market, the 2 neutral market cards, and 1 factory card, upright or upside down card. 2 different factory cards can participate in 2 different market clashes in a turn. Scoring. The winner scores 1 point for a hand of 3 of a kind or less, or 2 points for hands better than a 3 of a kind. Discarding cards. The player to the left of the winner chooses to discard one of the winner's market cards and may discard a neutral market card. Rotating cards. Then all players may rotate any of their upright or upside down factory cards clockwise by 90 degrees, even if a market clash was not triggered that round. Here we see an example of a market clash with 2 players where we have factory cards that are upright or upside down can boost a player market cards, and in this case, player 1 has a 2 of technology, and player 2 has a 2 of technology, a 7 of technology, and a 9 of technology, one of which could enter into each of 2 market clashes. Player 1 has 2 pairs in market 1, a pair of 2s and a pair of 6s, and he has a 3 of a kind in market 2 with 3 value 10 cards. Player 2 has a 3 of a kind 2s in market 1 and she has three of a kind nines in market 2. Note, she can't have use a full house because either only the 9 or 7 could enter market 2, but not both. Player 2 would win a clash in market 2 because he has a three of a kind 10s and player 2 has three of a kind 9s. And so he would trigger a market clash in market 2, but would lose in market 1 to player 2's three of a kind 2s since he only has 2 pairs. So after he triggers a market clash in market 2, player 1 would then get to discard one of his 2 cards and may discard a neutral market card as well, and she decides to do so with the cards shown with the red X. The concept of poker hands was used with Gears of Industry because it allows for a variety of hands that could be formed and a richness of play. And we show here the poker hands, the rank of poker hands, which is a pretty common set of hands that many people know already. But we show here in the rules the rank of poker hands, starting with the lowest being just a single high card, and then a pair. We show a pair of 5 here, and 2 pair. We show here a pair of 6s and a pair of 8s. A 3 of a kind, we show here as an example, 3 7s. A straight, where we have a series of 5 cards in ascending numerical order, and the cards can be of different domains or suits. And note that if you form hands of higher than a 3 of a kind, that you score 2 victory points. The next hand is a flush. Five cards are all the same suit. A full house, where you have a combination of a 3 of a kind with a pair. A 4 of a kind, 4 cards of the same value. A straight flush, 5 consecutive cards that all share the same suit. And a royal flush, a straight flush with numerical values 9 through 13. Winning the game. If any player has reached 7 points, they win the game. If there's a tie, use the sum value of their market and factory cards as a tiebreaker. If they're still tied, they share the victory. So thank you for watching this play guide video of Gears of Industry. I hope you have a better sense of how to play. Be sure to check out the other Tech Deck games. You can find resources on my website, chung.interzone.com, or on Board Game Geek. And hope you enjoyed this video and you'll enjoy the other Tech Deck games. Thank you.